All right, it looks like everyone has gotten seated, so let's get started. And for this session, like all of us have probably built a lot of small apps, but it becomes quite different when you scale up, when you have a large team, and yeah, things change. And Pavel will tell you a little bit more about that. So give it up for Pavel. Woo!
Hello everyone. Good afternoon. The topic of code quality is on the table today, and I hope you're excited about that. Well, at least I am. And I'm also curious, how many of you guys are happy and satisfied with code quality on your current project? Please raise your hand to let me know. Just, yeah, very few people, very few. No, only your current project, like where you work most of the time. All right, and who has more than 10 Flutter developers working on the same code base? Okay, that's more people. I have some good news for you, because my goal for today is to empower all of you guys with guidelines and tools so that you can use them to set a higher code quality bar and keep it there with less manual effort. Before diving into the topic itself, I would love to give you a bit more context about me. My name is Pavel. I'm a lead software engineer at EPAM. The first time I encountered Flutter, it was 2018. Loved it. And since 2020, I've been doing the Flutter development full time. I also maintain a technical blog that you are very welcome to check out. And here today, I'm representing our awesome Flutter Netherlands community. Enough about me. Let's get the ball rolling. And first things first, continuous integration and continuous delivery is a must. So if you don't have it on your project for whatever reason, make sure you do. And if you hopefully do have it, let's see how you can enhance your CI pipeline to make it even more robust. The code quality gates I'm about to walk you through are divided into 3 categories, and I divided them so based on the amount of effort it takes to set them up. So consider starting with the basic ones first. And the first one on the list is code formatting. Dart tooling offers an option out of the box to help us with that. That's really cool, but do not limit yourself to Dart files only. Consider for more options. For instance, if you use the tool which is called Prettier plus Node Package Manager, then you can easily achieve consistency and good formatting in your JSON, Markdown, RB, and different types of files. Similar advice applies to spelling. Everyone makes mistakes, including spelling ones. Check out the popular tool called cspell. I've seen it used on a number of open source projects. And in addition to that, make sure that you install a plugin to your IDE, and then you should be good to go. When it comes to static code analysis in Flutter, you should know the following. That's good that Flutter Lins package, which comes out of the box, helps us with that. But from my point of view, that is not enough. Look for these tips. First of all, consider failing your CI pipeline not only on the presence of errors, but also on the presence of warnings and infors. Then consider enabling strict type checks. And in addition to that, make sure you enable more lins. As you might already guessed, Flutter Lins package covers only a subset of lins available out of Dart SDK. If you take a closer look at this table, you'll notice that it's less than a half. It's only 46%. And if you, for instance, use a very good analysis, then your code base should be in twice as good shape. Taking a step further would involve the integration of additional lins provided by the community. Dart Code Metrics has been the most used and well-known package. It was introduced in 2020, and our teams have been using it for years. And even though it was discontinued last year in favor of DCM, it is still possible to use the old and free version. The next level of linting involves the integration of custom lint. With this library, you can develop lints tailored to the specific needs and requirements of your team and your project. And another promising tool, which I discovered about half a year ago, is called Premit Lint. Pyramid lint uses custom lint under the hood, and it provides more than 40 lints out of the box. Some of them are presented on the current slide. For instance, you can easily detect whether you have your resources properly disposed, or if you have any global variables, mutable global variables, which I would not recommend for sure. So really, really cool stuff. When you're confident with your linter setup, the next step for you may be devoting more attention to your architecture. Every serious application uses some sort of architecture, having various layers and following certain rules. So I highly recommend using physical separation over logical. And what I mean by physical separation is that you'd better create physical Dart and Flutter packages instead of having just mere folders or directories. For the sake of conveying the idea, in one of my articles, I took the default Flutter account application and got it refactored in a modularized solution with the following 5 modules. If you're familiar with clean architecture or domain-driven design, then those names should be already known to you. Nothing fancy here. What are the advantages, you may ask? Well, first of all, you have strict visibility control, meaning that you have package-level encapsulation. Compiler is playing on your side with this setup. Second of all, you have potential for reusing your modules in another application or multiple applications. And in addition to that, you also may benefit from additional build and CI time optimizations. When you have multiple Dart and Flutter packages living in the same Git repository, this is usually something which is called a mono repository. And when it comes to mono repositories, there is one tool that you should be definitely aware of. The name is Melas. Yeah, it helps a lot in managing a mono wrapper, and you can easily execute all your scripts for all your packages or across only a subset of them based on some filters. You can also update your external dependencies in one YAML file instead of doing it kind of in all the files. So I can recommend this tool without any doubt. One interesting thing or nuance about mono wrappers in Dart, which surprised me back in the time when I found it out, is the possibility to have cyclic or circular references. Surprisingly, Dart can compile such a mono wrapper. It does not have any issues with that, but I do. I don't think this is the best way to move forward, so luckily, Melas has a remedy for this as well. With such a simple command, you can detect those violations, and if you're doing good, you will see the following positive message. It means that this validation can easily be integrated in your CI pipeline, and what I especially like about this command is that it is super, super fast. It gives you the result in less than a second, even if you have hundreds of packages in your mono wrapper. Also be careful with how you deal with your external dependencies. Every Flutter application relies on some external packages or plugins from PubDev, and Dependency Validator can easily spotlight those missing, underpromoted, or promoted, or unused dependencies. So consider integrating this in your CI pipeline as well. Let's move on. And the next one is called duplicates. I bet we all sometimes just copy and paste some pieces of code instead of doing the proper refactoring right away. This may be fine when you are doing a POC, but in the long run, this is not a maintainable approach. And this tool can easily spot these issues, so you don't accumulate technical debt. You can adjust its strictness as well as exclude certain files like generated files or tests, for example. And who here writes any tests on their Flutter projects? All right, at least half of the people. Well, if you want to get any serious about automated testing for your software, there is one key concept you should be aware of, and this is the testing pyramid. A few things to remember here. First of all, write tests of different type or of different granularity. And second of all, the higher you get to the top of the pyramid, the fewer tests you should have. Why? Because they're more expensive. they're more expensive from both maintenance side and from their execution resources side. Let's briefly touch each of these types. When it comes to unit testing, I recommend testing the behavior and not the implementation details of your units or your classes. Read about black box testing versus white box testing. Read about the difference between fakes and mocks. One of the implicit advantages of unit testing is that you inevitably have a better architecture of your code. Also, consider using first and arrange, act, assert principles, and these are the packages that prove to be quite useful for our teams. Clock, fake async, mocktail, parameterized test. Okay, now I would love to move on to widget testing. Be aware that you can test not only the behavior of your widgets, like tapping a button and changing the state of checking the change of a change state, but you can also test accessibility. More and more companies nowadays try to make their applications accessible to everyone, including impaired people. So this topic is gaining more attention. A special subset of widget testing is called golden testing. We love them and we use them a lot. Basically, an image of how a widget looks like is taken and saved into a file. And when you run the test the next time, a new image of a widget is taken and compared pixel by pixel to the image in the file. And if there is a pixel difference or any small difference which you can set up, then such test fails. Really cool type of testing. One of the ways to encourage, or let's say force developers to write tests is to use a code coverage check in your CI pipeline. My advice here is to be reasonable. Striving for 100% code coverage is not always the best idea. So think twice before setting this rule. What you can also do, you can also set different thresholds for different modules. What do we have the next? End-to-end integration testing is usually a less used option, especially on the projects of smaller or startup-like size. However, this can give you a good return of investment if you do it the right way. And choosing the right testing tool, environment, and approach is something of vital importance. So sync up with your QAs, sync up with your automation QAs if you happen to have those guys on your project or in your company, and then it should be good to start. This comparison table provides you an overview of the popular tools suitable for Flutter applications. On one hand, the tools like Appium and WebDriver.io are quite mature and have been there for more than a decade. On the other hand, the more recent players like Maestro and Patrol are quite young but quite promising and may even surprise you. Just to give you the notion of how easy it can be to write an end-to-end integration test, I decided to wipe the dust from one of my pet applications, which I released almost 5 years ago. It took me literally less than 20 minutes to install Maestro on my machine, on my laptop, to play a bit with Maestro Studio, where I could inspect the UI elements of my application and then write this test in the YAML format. The source code of the test you can see right in this video. I didn't have to install any dependencies or do any configuration inside my application, which means that with the right testing tool, the approach can be, or the process can be really easy and really enjoyable. A really outstanding type of testing that you may have never heard of is called architecture testing. I really love it, I really do, and your goal here is to automate the validation of the architecture rules that you have on your project. I bet all the projects of a big size have some architecture rules that usually are verified by people during the code reviews. And my big advice for you is to try to automate those rules as much as possible, and then you can rest assured that everything is working or is architectured up to your expectations. Get some inspiration from the tool called ArcUnit. This is the tool which exists in Java and .NET worlds, not in Flutter, unfortunately, but I think you may get quite some inspiration from it, and I think you will be amazed in the end. To give you the notion of how an architecture test may look like even without this tool, with some simple, more naive approach, this is one of the examples of from my previous project. We had a feature-oriented architecture, and one of our rules was that our features should not depend on other features for the sake of low coupling and high cohesion. And with the help of such a simple test, we were able to achieve the automation, the automated check, and it proved to be quite powerful and completely covered our needs. Having gone through all of these code quality gates or CI checks, you may be wondering, how much time could it take to run all of them on a project of a huge size? Well, obviously it depends. It depends on the project and it depends on your setup. But what I can recommend doing is to look for some optimizations. You can obviously run things in parallel, but what you can also do is to scope your checks or to be selective. Let's say you have made a change only on the presentation layer of your application, only inside this package. For instance, by changing a button or adding a new screen or changing the existing screen. In this case, it doesn't make that much sense to run all of your CI checks on the domain package, for instance, or on the data package, because those packages have no dependencies on presentation, so it will be a waste of resources. What does make sense is to run all the checks on presentation one, obviously, and on the one which depends on it, the application package. It's awesome that Melis can also cover us here. You can use one of its commands. This command uses git diff under the hood, and it can find out the packages which have changes in the current Git branch compared to the other Git branch. And you can use this list of packages as a global filter for all your Melis CI commands or CI checks. So save your time, save your money by checking and validating what is really needed. Overall, the more validations you can automate and put in your CI pipeline, the easier it is for you, as you can focus on other things during your code reviews. So set stricter policies for your pull requests, be consistent, try to automate as much as possible. And I think using this advice, your code base should be in way better shape. Hopefully, it gives you some food for thought, and I would love to wrap it up with the following idea. Some people say that knowledge is power. That's true, isn't it? That is true, but that is true to only some extent, I would say. The real power comes when you apply the knowledge, when you put it in practice. So don't postpone until tomorrow what you can do today. Try to make your CI pipeline as robust as possible so that the next time I see all of you guys and ask a simple question, how satisfied are you with the code quality on your current project? The next time I ask it, I hope to see way more raised hands, not just 4 or 5 hands that I saw at the beginning. Well, you can use this QR code to navigate to my technical blog where all of these topics are covered in way greater detail with code samples and links to GitHub. Check it out. I think you may find something useful. That's it for today. Cheers. I'll see you the next time.
Thank you.
Do we have time for questions? I think we don't, do we?
You can take 2 questions. I'll allow it.
All right. I see the question in the second row, in the third row.
If you say the question, Shatai, I can repeat it for the stream.
So when you have this diff checking before testing, the level is cost effective, right?
Yeah.
As cost effective.
Yeah.
Have you considered making it even like folder specific changes?
No.
So the question was, Oh my God, my God, that's right.
I can
If there
express
was, oh yeah, you can say it. Repeat.
Yeah, the question was about the scoped CI or selective CI. If we considered doing it not on the package level, but on the folder level. Now we have not considered that, so we have quite some packages. We have a modularized solution, and the package level is more than enough. In our mono wrapper, which has about 80 packages, I think, nowadays all of our CI checks run on average under 4 minutes. So it takes about 3 minutes to run all of the CI checks, because usually it is for a few packages, and it works really, really, really good for us. So it saves quite some time and resources. Yeah, you're welcome. Well,
So the question is, they're also using Maestro in their pipeline, but and to test different native features, right? And they only do it for Android currently, and they're asking about iOS support, I guess.
well, I have not used Maestro on production. On production, we are using WebDriver IO because of the legacy reasons, and because we have also native applications, and our automation QAs are experienced with that tool. So I just used it for my pet projects to play with. And the question is if it's possible to use with iOS. I think I saw an issue to run it on iOS devices. I'm not sure if this is still an issue or if it was resolved. But if you at least run in some end-to-end integration testing on one platform, I think you're in way better shape than if you're not doing it. Yeah.
All right, super. Thanks a lot, Pavel. Give it up for him again.
Thanks.